Hey, what is up, Marvels? It is BubblyNami here, and welcome to part 8 of What If Deku Got Black Whip Early. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin. Okay, so that's what we'll do, Izuku said with resolve to Ochako and Hanta. After that wild encounter with Kami, a student from the Shiketsu High, Midoriya was rejoined by two of his classmates. And after ascertaining if they were actually his classmates, given the stunt Kami pulled earlier, being cautious wouldn't hurt. He conjured a plan that could possibly see them through the stage of the exam. Mira of the Hero Public Safety Commission announced the passing of 53 examees. The pressure was high to secure a spot to participate in the actual exams. The examees flocked in large groups to prey on weaker groups. Then they would fight amongst themselves over who got to tag the target last. And now the small team of Midoriya, Sero, and Ochako were confronted with a large group throwing balls at them to hit their targets. But this is exactly what they expected and prepared for. Quickly the small unit mobilized. Ochako to the front lines. With stones she already touched, she formed a sort of barrier shielding them from the raid of balls momentarily, giving Sero and Izuku enough time to prepare. Sero tapered one end of his tape to Izuku's right gauntlet. Continuously spawning the tape from his elbow, Midoriya began his dash, ducking underneath the rubble screen. He applied pressure to his boots, and it jolted him off the ground. He had already studied the layout of the surroundings and knew what he was aiming for. Swerving his torso to the left, he dodged an incoming ball. He shot out a tendril from his left gauntlet that wrapped around the boulder that was just in front of the first line of the large group. Crouching his upper body low with his legs wide apart, Izuku began to move rapidly towards the other examee, as if he was pulled across the water with a jet ski. His position perfectly guarded his targets. The ball they threw bounced off harmlessly. In less than a second, he was in front of the first examee with his propulsion deactivated. The examee tried to hit Izuku's target once he was upright. Midoriya seamlessly released his hold on the rock. Aiming and wrapping another tendril around a rock that was far out left, he evaded the attack and began to travel quickly along the radius around the huddled group, all the while pulling Sero's tape that got stuck to the first man. Midoriya began to travel round as fast as he could. Times when his propulsion timed out, he ran with all his might. The group soon realized his plan and directed their fire at him. A well-timed shot managed to hit its mark and light one of Midoriya's targets. Now that he was no longer crouched, Midoriya was barely managing to duck beneath the balls. He knew he had to pull this off quick, or he'd be in serious trouble. Detaching from the first rock, he latched onto another far right on his position, bending round a stretch and taping more confused examees. Those who reacted fast enough began to move outside of his range to attack, but Uraraka had dropped her rock screen now, and covered from him combating them with the skills she'd gotten during her internship. Midoriya pressed on, latching onto the final rock pedestal he saw, completing a full circle, huddling and mangling a large number of examees together with Sero's durable sticky tape. The few Uraraka tussled with ran off after seeing their mates being incapacitated. Unable to move, Midoriya, Sero, and Uraraka picked off the examees easily and made their way into the actual exams. The actual exams were rather anticlimactic, considering the fact that they'd just been in a race against time to qualify. Rescuing civilians from wrecked grounds was kind of a downer for others, but not to Midoriya. He saw it as an opportunity to work on his relation with victims. But now he was getting an earful from a little kid based on his poor reaction to the situation. Instantly adjusting, he reassured the kid and scooted off to the first aid station, holding the child carefully. Then it happened. A sharp pang flooded his head, causing him to drop the child as Midoriya fell to the ground, clutching his head.
Hey! I'm definitely deducting points for that!
The child began to bicker, to which Midoriya apologized solemnly. But his danger sense had struck out of the blue, which only meant one thing. Something bad was about to happen. Right on cue, a large explosion went off, catching every examee's attention. Over the comm, the arrival of the villains was announced, and they, as the heroes, were supposed to suppress them while still rescuing. Just great. Midoriya managed to take the boy to shelter and return back to the scene. The number 10 hero gang Orca was charging towards the shelter with a legion of villains. Shindu from the Riving School steps up as well. Using his vibrate quirk, he destroys the earth with huge tremors to disorient the villains. But Gang Orca was unfazed, and he was plotting something. Danger sense kicked in again, and Midoriya acted fast. Charging up his gauntlet with Black Whip, he fired a high-paced tendril at Gang Orca, the wind rippling with the impact on fire. Black Whip! Tree of Woe! Controlling the tendril, Midoriya caused it to split into 4 parts, branching out and wrapping around Gang Orca. That should hold him, Midoriya thought. But he was underestimating the hero. Orca emitted a paralyzing sound that stunned Shindo. Then suddenly twisting his torso, he pulled Midoriya to him with inhumane strength and speed, driving his shiny black head into Midoriya's nose. Blood sprayed from his nostrils. The pain caused him to lose his hold of the villain. Midoriya stumbled to the ground clutching his nose as Gang Orca was probably about to paralyze him as well. In the nick of time, a strong gust flew overhead, pushing the villain back. Inasa and Shoto had arrived to combat the villain, but it appeared that the two were at loggerhead, refusing to work with one another till Midoriya spoke some sense into them. After saving Shindo from a fatal encounter with Todoroki's fire, he left them and raced off towards the shelter. The villains were now trying to attack it, flipping over a rock and skidding to a stop right in front of the shelter. Midoriya surged Black Whip mildly through his gauntlet. Their purpose was to produce high output from little percentage of his quirk. The whip shot out like a bullet, hitting 2 goons square on the jaw, knocking them out. Midoriya retracted his tendrils and shot out another one that wrapped around the 3rd goon. Hovering above the ground, he pulled the goon towards himself. Traveling toward the goon simultaneously, he raised his knee and sharply drove it into his jaw. Once they collided, knocking out the 3rd. But now the goons were beginning to swarm him. He was getting outnumbered till backup came. Evening the odds, they fought the goons. Midoriya punched, kicked, restrained, slammed bodies together with his quirk, adrenaline providing fuel to his aged reflexes. Midoriya got to know that a few number of the victims were left to be saved, and that they just had to hold out for a little bit. The goons were thinning in the numbers of those who weren't knocked out, and now Midoriya could focus his attention to Gang Orca, who apparently was caught in a firestorm, but appeared unfazed. I didn't want to use this, but it could work in putting Orca down, Midoriya thought to himself. During the training to create special moves, he hadn't come up with anything in particular, but Mei from the support course had told him about one other special function his gear had. Possibly it could help them win this. Midoriya readied himself, getting his body into a position to tank the backlash. He stretched out his 2 arms and began to charge Black Whip at a high percentage, power lines running back along his gear. Okay, let's... Midoriya started before he stopped after hearing the announcement over the comm. The exams were concluded, as all the victims had been rescued. Midoriya powered down and breathed a sigh of relief. The exams were over now. He hoped the results would be good. Thank you all so much for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It is sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. On top of that, we do have a third channel as well called We the Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. Finally, I would like to add that on behalf of all of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend our invitation to join the team. The only caveat being, we can only accept members 16 and older to join our crew. You can find us on the Discord, which we can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-round fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, all you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interest. We're always looking for more members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and have a great day. Bubbly out.